The Octave installer put two links on my desktop, a command line interface and a graphical user interface, a GUI. I'm going to get rid of the command line interface so I don't click on that accidentally, and fire up Octave by double clicking on the GUI. And Octave starts up in this region. It's referred to as a command window, and you can use that as a scratch pad, but don't be writing your programs there. We'll get to that in a second. Let's say, for instance, you got to use the sign function and you want to make sure it works, and you try, I guess, sine of 90, and it comes up something other than 1. You know, the sine of 90 degrees is 1. So probably Octave treats the argument as being in radians, so I want to try that. I want to put in pi over 2, and next thing I want to test is, does it have a pi in there? So if it does, it's probably something like that, and yeah, there we go. Pi is set equal to 3.14, probably to a lot more digits than it shows. So I'll try sine of pi divided by, that says /2, and it comes up as 1. So I've just using this as a scratch pad, I find out that if you want to take the sign of something, make sure that something is in degrees. Now you guys have to write programs and create .m files. To do that, you need to use the editor. So switch from the command window to the editor. You can do it that way, or you can type in the word edit. Get you over there. And I'm going to write a simple program that graphs y versus x for x on 0 to 100. So to write a program, each program is called a function. So let's start with function, and sometimes when you run a function, like the sign function, it gives you something back, so it's storing it someplace, and we have to have a name for that. I'm going to call it no return. It's referred to as a return variable. And my return variable, I'm going to name it no return variable. Just call it no return. Just meaning I'm not using it. So, but it's got to be there. And then equals, and then the function name. I'm graphing stuff, so I'm going to call it graph xy. And then an argument list in parentheses. My function isn't going to take any arguments. So when we were running the sign function over in the command window, it takes one argument, namely what you're trying to take the sign of, the pi over 2. In my function, I got no arguments. And then I need an end statement. I'm going to put that here right away so I don't forget it. You could use, I'm going to use end, in here you could use end function. I'm going to just use end for compatibility with MATLAB, latest version that I'm familiar with. So Octave is basically a free version of MATLAB. Alright, I'm going to graph x versus y, so I need to put some x values in. I'm going to create an array of 101 values of x from 0 to 100. So I'll have them evenly spaced, and the way to do that is to use the function Linspace, whose first argument is the first value, last argument is the last value, and you can put how many values you want in there. I'm going to go with 100. You don't need it to be integers. Actually, I think I'll just go 0 to 10. So I'm changing what this graph x is doing, and I'll tell it I want 101 values. Use 101 values from 0 to 10. And y, I'm going to set equal to, I think I said I was graphing the x squared, so I'll go x to the power of 2. So that caret, that's a shift 6, makes it to the power of. And I've actually got a built-in mistake in here that I'm going to leave for the moment, and we'll use that to debug, get a little practice with debugging code. So plot x comma y creates a graph of y versus x. So I go back to the, I got to save this, and I got to save it as graph xy, so the file name should be the same name as the function name. So I'm actually going to do a Control-C, copy that to the clipboard, and then I want to save it. So click on the save, and it says where do you want to save it, and I want to browse. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to go up here, and I want to set my working directory where I want to save this. And to do that, I'll go Browse Directories, and then I'm going to go right to where I want it. Choose that. That's not actually what I wanted to do. Keep on going. My Documents. So make sure you figure out where you want to save your files, and then set that as your working directory. So I'm calling it Octave Files, Spring 2017. Different course. I want to put it in your course. PS 132, projects, and I'm going to create a new directory here called practice code. I'll choose that one. And now, if I go to the editor and click on save, yeah, I'm right in that practice code already, so I just have to type in the name. I'll do that. Control-V to paste the name. So this is kind of important. I want to make the name of my file the same as the name of the function. This is the name of the function. I've got it highlighted right there, and it's the name of my file. The Octave is going to automatically add a .m to it. Alright, and look, there it is. It shows up there. Now I want to run it. I'll go over to the command window and type the name of it, graph xy. It's got no arguments. I'll put the parentheses there associated with the argument list, but it's empty, unlike when I typed in the sign, I had pi over 2 as the argument. Alright, and enter. The first thing it's doing is showing me what I got in x, so it goes 0.1 all the way to, I'm going to try forward, went up to 10. And then it says error. Remember I told you I was leaving an error there. X has this 101 values from 0 to 10. It's referred to as an array. So the first element of x is 0, the next one 0.1, the next one, etc. So it's got an array of 100 values, and you can think of it as a matrix, but an array is a 1 by matrix. So this is a 1 by 101 matrix, and it's not square. Square means it's got the same number of rows as it does columns. So instead of 1 by 101, it'd be 101 by 101, for instance. But but what I actually want to do is I want y to be a new array where each element of y is the square of the corresponding element of x. And to do that, it says use dot to the power of for element-wise power instead of just using the power symbol. So I'll go back and fix that. So it's x dot to the power of. So my whole symbol for squaring it is dot caret instead of just the caret, which is the shift 6. And the other thing is it printed all the values of x, and I don't really want to see them again, so I'll put a semicolon there, and that says go ahead and assign those 101 values to X, but don't print them out to the screen. And I'm going to save that. I got to save it, or else when I run it, it's running the last save version. And then I'm going to just hit the up arrow. I did just hit the up arrow. Oh, this is in a bad spot for that. Just hit the up arrow, and that brings up the last thing that I typed in. And I hit enter there, and it's working on creating a graph. But I got it hung up over here because it's printing out the values of y. Let's check that out. I had 0 squared, that's 0. 0.1 squared is 0.01. 0.2 squared is 0.02, etc. So that's looking good. Here, I'm going to go back to the command window and click on quit. Type quit so it stops listing all those values, and then the graph comes up. The window came up right away, but until I hit quit for listing the values, I didn't see the graph. I should mention that the first time I tried it after downloading and installing it, it took a few minutes for the graph to come up. In other words, the window came up. It was just a blank window saying figure 1, and then I had to wait, I don't know, 2 to 5 minutes, might have been 5 minutes, and then it came up. So setting things up the first time, this seems to take it a while. The first time after you've installed it, but since then it's been coming up very quickly. One thing I want to take care of on there, I'll go back to the editor, put a semicolon after the y, so it doesn't, I don't have to type in that quit displaying those values. Here it doesn't matter, plot doesn't cause any values to be displayed, so I did that. I'll save it again, go to the command window, hit the up arrow on my keyboard to make the most recent thing I typed in appear, and then hit enter, and the graph comes popping right up. So that's how to write a simple program in Octave, and call that the end of. To shut down Octave, you can hit the X up there, or typically I type in exit. I think cleans things up a little bit better as it shuts it down. So I'm going to hit exit, and that's it for this video.